This video is brought to you by Evoto, a professional AI photo editor that lets you perform routine tasks quickly and sync your edits with other photos in just seconds. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I want to share with you today 6 tips that have really worked out for me over the years and helped me build my creative skills and become a better portrait photographer. If you've ever had a client come to you on set and ask you to try something new and out of your normal comfort zone and it scared the hell out of you, then these 6 steps will help you bring down your stress levels on set, get through that creative challenge to the other side, and then do your best work. It'll also help you sort of realize your creative vision and your dreams and do the work that you want to create and not just struggle, which is something that a lot of us do when we start out doing portrait photography. I'm also going to ask everyone to share in the comments how they have gotten through these challenges and how this might then help out you as well. Please share your experience in the comments as well. The first thing that I want to talk about today, which I think is a big hurdle for new photographers when they're exploring portrait photography, is understanding exposure. Not knowing how shutter speeds can affect the shot when it comes to freezing action, or how you might choose to have light that's in the scene creep into your flash photos in environmental portraits, or understanding how you might want to eliminate it altogether in order to freeze a dancer is really important. The other thing is you will need to know how ISO affects your pictures. Can you go up really high, and how far is too high? The other thing to realize is how the f-stop that you choose affects the depth of field. A lot of new photographers, I see them going out there all the time and they're shooting at f1.2 with a model outdoors with a single light. And that does create a really nice bokeh-licious aesthetic, but it might not be the best choice overall. Let's say that you're a wedding photographer and you need to photograph the couple on their wedding day. If you do that at 1.2 with an 85mm lens, then both people aren't going to be in focus, and that's probably going to cause you a problem after your clients see the pictures. Sure, there might be an artistic reason to not stop down and to use this approach. There probably also is a very good reason to stop down, and shooting at 5.6 or f8 might be the way to go. As a commercial photographer who works mostly in the beauty industry, a lot of times what I'm doing is trying to show off hair and makeup. And if I have a very big opening, f1.2, I'm going to have a very narrow depth of field. And that's going to mean that all the makeup won't be in focus or all the hair won't be in focus. But if I shoot at 5.6, that'll be my sharpest aperture overall, probably with my lens. But the problem there is that the detail in the haircut won't be sharp either. And shooting at f11 is probably the way to go. The reason why I know that 5.6 is not the way to go is because I have made this mistake. And it's all about learning from our mistakes. If you want to watch a video that's all about understanding exposure, you could click on this one up here that is all about the exposure triangle. The next thing I want to talk about is post-production. It's usually better for you to do more on set and less in post. The reason why is things can look very fake very quickly, and when that happens, it really makes your work suffer. So if you just sort of bring things up to a little higher level in post, but not too far, don't do the most, it will really benefit you. If you try to make all of your customers look 15 years younger, that's not really going to look the best overall. Just having them look maybe 5 years younger, trimming the flyaways, not cutting them off entirely and making helmet hair is going to be a good way to go. Make sure that you take care of little things like getting the lipstick off of their teeth or the dandruff off of their collar. Hopefully I'm doing okay. But just doing these little things will help you out a lot. If you try to make people look like Barbies all the time, what I'm saying about that is a plastic doll or Lego characters, if you will. Lego figures, action figures, G.I. Joe action figures. Let's go with that. Then you're just not going to have realistic looking pictures, and people are probably going to be turned off by your work. So just remember, less is more. We have a lot of tools that we can use now. If you want to see my entire retouching process, I have a video linked up here that you can check out. That's from me using Evoto and Capture One and Photoshop's new AI tools. And if you want to check that out, that would be great. Evoto's software is perfect for speeding up your retouching workflow, and you can dial in the exact look that you're going for. They also have a new clothing adjustment tool that will allow you to de-wrinkle clothing by removing both fine and coarse wrinkles. And then you can go in with the healing brush tool and remove things like flyaways. If you'd like to check out the software and get 5% off your subscription, just use the coupon code EVOTOJohnGress11 at checkout. The next thing I want to talk about is how lights are more important than the camera or lenses that you're using. A lot of new photographers will go all out buying the latest camera and the latest lenses, and then they'll cheap out on their lighting. What you put in front of your camera to capture is just as important as how your camera captures that content and records the image. There's a photographer that I've been mentoring for the last few years who's using a Nikon prosumer camera from about 10 years ago and kit lenses, and he's doing a great job growing his photography skills, growing his business, and taking really good pictures because he's concerned himself more with the lighting and the content that's in front of the camera and making his models look their best. And that's far more important than having the sharpest lens or a 100 megapixel camera. Sure, modern cameras can give us good things like eye control, eye detection, focus, whatever it's called. That helps us do our work, but it's really not as important as what's in front of it. And speaking of our work, the next tip I want to give you today is to make sellable work and then master it and then try new stuff after that. I used to make the mistake of trying to reinvent the wheel every time that I was on set with a new client, and it was very stressful. The reason it was so stressful is because I was stumbling, I wasn't hitting my mark, so to speak. I wasn't making the best pictures. They saw me fumbling, and it just made me really, really nervous. Over time, what I learned is just to sort of develop some go-to things, work on those things, get better at them, do those when I'm doing client shoots, and then I'll really produce the images that the clients are looking for. My stress levels will come down, and then I can practice on new things, maybe at the end of the shoot, or I can do that on practice shoots that I have set up. And this has really served me well over the years, and it's given me great results. The next thing I want to talk about is a mistake that I see a lot of photographers making, and that is that they become very obsessed when it comes to lighting as to what the input power is of the light that the photographer is using that they're interacting with online. They want to know this information. Well, that information isn't necessarily helpful unless you're using the same light in the same modifier at the exact same distance with a similar subject in a room that's very similar. What's more important to realize is looking at the final image and seeing sort of how different lights work together or how bright each, and sort of more important is to see how bright each light is in the final composition. If you have a hair light, like the two that I have up here, the sort of hair lights and edge lights, you want to just recognize how much separation you're seeing there on the side of the head or on the shoulders or on the top of the head. You want to sort of note, does this feel really bright? Does it feel like the setting sun is behind the subject? Or does it feel really subtle, like light that's coming through a window and then bouncing off something else? Just start to notice those characteristics and how the character of the lighting looks, and that will really be a lot more important than the power setting of the individual lights. If you want to see a video that I made that's all about this power setting issue, just click on this link up here and you can find out all sorts of information. The next thing I see new photographers doing when it comes to portrait photography is sort of taking unnecessary risks. They will not use a sandbag when shooting outdoors. They'll rush in order to do things in the studio, and they'll do things that are a little bit unsafe. Sure, as a new photographer, okay, maybe 10 years ago, let's say. I've been doing this for about 25 years, give or take. Um, I have taken these unnecessary risks. I have just felt like, it's not too windy today. I don't really need this sandbag. And the moment you let your guard down is when that gust of wind comes along and knocks your light over and breaks it. It's definitely happened to me. There was a moment where my assistant didn't take a breath on set about a month ago. He didn't make sure that something was tight. He just put it on the stand and kept moving, and that resulted in the light falling off the stand, well, falling off its mount technically, and breaking the front of the light. I couldn't be too mad at him because I have made these shortcut mistakes in the past, but just slow things down a little bit and make sure that you're doing the right thing so that things are safe. If you want to see a video that I made all about how to use a C-stand, you can click on this link up here, and that will help you make sure that things don't fall over and things stay safe. But what's more important, and what I would hope that you take away from this video today, is that practice, practice, and practice. That is really key to growing your skills and bringing those anxiety levels down. And then once you have built your skills up, you'll be able to step through that door into that creative space that you need to be in order to do your best work. From about 2008 to 2010 is when I went from photographing business people only and only shooting with paid work to testing out models and working with them regularly. And when I started doing that, when I stopped just shooting for money and started shooting for fun, my skill levels really started to rise, and they started to rise rather rapidly. Because what I was doing during those practice sessions was perfecting my work, trying out those new things. And then when I had client shoots, I was performing at my, top level, the top level that I could do at that time. Since then, I've continued to practice with models, now doing about one test shoot a month, and that's really just continued to grow my skills up and up and up. And now I've been using lighting for about 25 years now, believe it or not, and I've never stopped growing my skill level. And it's because I keep practicing and I keep getting better. Your results will go up rapidly in the beginning, and then you'll just be trying out those new things and pushing the barriers with time. But practicing is really what's important. I hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. If you could please like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And please let us know in the comments what things you've done to grow your skills over the years that's really helped you out, because I think if we share that with each other, then we'll really be helping each other out and we'll all sort of rise up together. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.